Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to your 2023 Tarot card and Astrology readings. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. For those of you who are new, my name is Jane. Thank you all so much for being here. So as always, each month we have both a tarot card reading and an astrology reading. And the timestamps for each segment will be found in the description box and the comment thread down below. You're welcome to watch for your sun, moon, or rising sign. And if you're here for love, don't forget to check out your Venus sign as well. If you are a subscriber on my website, janeinternational.com, please do not forget to log in to access the comprehensive reading. And if you would like more information on how to join, please see the description box in the comment thread down below for all the info. All right, let's go ahead and get into the reading. Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to your February 2023 tarot card reading. So we're going to open up this channel today with the card from my intuitive deck. So let's take a look here and see what comes through. What do you need to know, Scorpio? Okay. I'm feeling an abacus, like the image of an abacus is coming to my mind. Feel that there are calculations at play right now for you, Scorpio. You're really considering your move. You're trying to figure out what is the next best thing for you to do, the next best direction for you to go. And I'm getting a feeling that you're still in this like pulled away period of time. Like you kind of need to be pulled away from the world right now so you can figure things out. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not still like going to work and you're still living your life normally, obviously, but there's just a lot going on internally. And it does feel somewhat, like I say, it's an abacus. It's about calculation. There's something unemotional or detached about what's going on. But the real question for you, Scorpio, is like, you know where you want to be and you know what it is you have to work with right now. So the question is how do I get there? And I know you're thinking about that a lot. And there is this notion, I'm kind of seeing a star right here, right? So there is this notion of like an ideal, a perfect or a best scenario that you have out there somewhere. And this is you being like, all right, I need to move this around. I need to do this. I need to talk to this person. I need to set up this meeting. I need to go here, go do this, go, blah, 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 right? You're doing all this stuff. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that just is what it needs to be right now. You know, that just is what it is. Although you might not necessarily feel very accessible to people, even the people who are closest to you, you may seem a little out of reach. And even if you're physically there, physically in the room, it's like people can just pick up on, like, Scorpio's mind is, I don't want to say elsewhere, because I'm not suggesting that you're not present, but it's just like, that star is pulling you, it's pulling you up forward. And so as much as you want to be in the here and now, there's still something tugging at you. And other people, I think, are picking up on it as well. Not a bad thing. And I don't think it's going to ruin anything. I think it's just like kind of an interesting dynamic that everyone's going to have to kind of figure out how to work with right now. Okay. So what else does the universe need from you? Let's pull a major arcana card. What else does the universe need from you, Scorpio? We have the High Priestess. Yeah, there is something really quiet going on. It seems really internal. Like something is trying to come up to the surface for you. You may be in a more secretive place. Well, we do have that sun in the 4th house. So yeah, you may be in a more secretive place. You might, but not like you're hiding anything. I don't think you're hiding stuff. You're probably just processing with Jupiter conjunct Chiron in the 6th. This is about processing what you're feeling, processing certain traumas, processing certain tendencies, all that kind of thing. And sometimes it takes a while for a feeling or an emotion to become like intellectually coherent. And sometimes it's hard to communicate what's going on if your mind can't even really make sense of it either. It's just that something's brewing. Something is stirring up inside of you. You're wanting something more for yourself. And it's really hard to shake. I think it's really, really hard for you to shake that feeling. But what's really happening is that your I guess we could say the destiny. I don't really like to use that word all that often, but you guys know what I mean when I say it, that your destiny or your future self does seem to be calling you. Okay? Who is in the environment that you need to be aware of? We have a Knight of Swords. Okay. I don't mind this for you terribly, but the pace is very different. Now, a Knight of Swords is probably someone who, first of all, they're very light, where I think you are taking a heavier tone. Now, when I say heavier, I don't mean you're being like a total downer or anything. It's just, it feels like there's a greater density over here, whereas over here, it's much more whimsical and communicative. And I just, with Mercury coming in through that fourth house, when it enters into Aquarius on the 11th, I just don't see Scorpio wanting to be very communicative. And that can be hard for a Knight of Swords who thrives in that. And they need it. And in a way, they crave it. And so if this is like a significant other or a romantic partner, there might be a big disconnect for the two of you right now. Now, it doesn't mean anything bad is going to happen. It just means you're in two different places and somehow you're going to have to like pull it together, right? You're going to have to communicate something so they at least know what the heck is going on. But they're also going to have a little faith in you and understand that maybe this is just your process. And that maybe you don't have all the information to deliver to them yet. And so they're going to have to be okay with not having all the answers right now. They're going to have to be okay being in kind of a limbo space. The problem with a Knight of Swords is that sometimes it can be impatient and a little adolescent, and it just sort of will react or jump to conclusions, even if you do have a conversation. It's like one day you have a conversation and everything is totally fine, and then a week later, this person is like, oh my gosh, it's been a week, and they see it like a week is like a long time, whereas Scorpio is like, I'm talking about like months. You're freaking out about a week? I need months here, and it's just the way you're experiencing time is very different. Now, it doesn't mean this person can't be really great. We'll see what the rest of the reading comes out with. But just that initial feeling does feel a little disconnected. Let's take a look. What else is coming out for Scorpio for February 2023? What else is coming out for Scorpio? We have a 3 of Coins. Yeah, because I do feel Scorpio is concerned. Oh, yeah, see, this is what I mean. I do feel that Scorpio is concerned about what they're building. Their businesses, they're building families, they're building beautiful households, they're building new practices, new hobbies, whatever the case is. Like you're building stuff. And sometimes the process of building requires trial and error, it requires effort, it requires time and thought and contemplation, it requires experimentation, especially if what you're trying to build is something big, like if you're building an empire, quote unquote, right? It's not going to happen overnight. And sometimes you go through these phases where there's a lot of intricate moving pieces and there are a lot of open ends. And when there's a lot of open ends, you don't have enough information, you can't move forward, whatever the case is, and it can just feel really weird. You're handling it just fine, Scorpio, because you know where you're at. You know what's going on. For some reason, I feel like this Knight of Swords is not really a part of it. Like they are because they're a part of your life, but they're not because they're not. They're not in the trenches every day the way you are. They're not doing the same things. They're not in the conversations. They're not in the meetings or whatever. And so I think maybe they are feeling left out, or they don't like the feeling necessarily of being on the outside. Now, if this is a spouse, this may be especially problematic. If this is like a coworker or a client or something like that, it's probably just more a matter of explaining as much as you possibly can. My concern with explaining is that it's just going to bring a lot more questions that you aren't prepared to answer. Now, problem with the Knight of Swords is they're coming from a lot of fear. Okay, maybe they have a big investment in something, an emotional, a financial, maybe their reputation is on the line, whatever the case is. But this devil behind them means they're not coming from the most secure place. They're coming from a desire to control, and they're trying to get control, and they're going about doing it in like the complete wrong way, in a way that Scorpio will not necessarily respond very well to. I think for you, Scorpio, this Knight of Swords feels burdensome, and it feels irritating or agitating to you because it's disruptive. Because when you're over here trying to build something and trying to put something together, and you have someone over here coming in like a wrench in the spokes and freaking out about something that they genuinely don't understand the whole context. They have this much information. It's like people who get really worked up about politics. It's like they watch one news network and they get all worked up because they're basically just regurgitating the perspective that the news network that they watch tells them, right? But you're not in the arena. You're not in Washington. You're not in politics. You're not in it. You're just on the outside looking in. And you just want to feel relevant. So you talk about your opinion based on this much information, when really it's this whole ocean of information that you don't have. It's kind of what I'm sensing here. All right. And I think, Scorpio, you're like in the arena. You're the one that does have all of it. That's why they're coming to you. That's why they're trying to get this from you. They're trying to talk to you. And you're just trying to maintain some semblance of composure here. All right. But I do think it's a hard dynamic to deal with. Now, it may actually push you, though, in a good way. It may push you to move a little faster than maybe... Now, Scorpio, while you're a fixed sign, you're still ruled by Mars. So I know this Mars retrograde in your 8th house it's done its job. And I know you're wanting things to really start accelerating. You're wanting things to move forward. You're wanting everything to really push out. But Mars is still in the 8th. And this is just simply a time where there's a lot of change over, right? It's not really going to fully expand until Mars hits the 9th house in March, end of March, beginning of April. So maybe timeline-wise, maybe that's something you can give to that Knight of Swords to be like, all right, well, it's going to be a couple months here, even though I know they're going to be pushing you after a week. But I know you're working really hard. And I know that you have the absolute best intentions here. And you are going bold. Scorpio is going bold here with whatever it is that they are aiming for, right? You're going for gold. You're going for the stars. You're going as high as you possibly can. There is no shorting yourself here. And Scorpio, if you feel like your dreams or your ambitions or your visions or whatever are somewhat limited, chances are you're not allowing or giving yourself permission to dream as big as your soul actually wants you to dream. Okay? because you may be basing your dreams off of what you think you can attain, but you're not taking into account all the other people that the universe has lined up to help you. Okay, so I still want you to keep going really, really big, even though this is present. I don't want you to limit yourself because of this. Okay? Yeah, there's the vision. I do feel the Knight of Swords is slowing down the process. It's slowing down the process by wanting to speed it up. It has to be a methodical thing, what's happening here, okay? It has to be methodical. So, Two of Wands is, first of all, I've kind of had a little bit of a change of tune on this card lately. And one of the things is, I know he's looking intensely at this globe that he has in his hand here, like he's holding a globe. But sometimes, lately I've been looking at, I'm like, I don't think he's really seeing like the whole world that's around him. He's not seeing like everything that's available to him. He's basing his vision of his life and his world based on his limited perspective of what he thinks is possible for him. See, this Venus conjunct Neptune right now is doing all of us a lot of favors because it's getting us out. Like we think this is like a big old dream. Oh, we want a lot of money and a love of our life and we want to live this great life. Okay, that's fine. But the universe is like, that's an okay dream. And if you want to go for that, we can. But I also don't want you to overlook all this like incredible stuff that's around you that is also available to you. Things that you may feel are so out of the realm of possibility. Right? Because Pisces is all about that boundlessness. There are no limitations here, really. So when it comes to our dreaming and our imagination, we get to go as big and as delusional. And I'm using that word intentionally because I kind of want to see us all being a little delusional, right? But not in like a negative way, but in our audacity to dream as big as we are actually dreaming. And I do want people to look at us and be like, man, you are insane for thinking that. You are crazy for wanting that. Like you think you can do that? Like I actually want people to think that. Because that means we are pushing so far past that boundary that we didn't maybe really realize was existent, that our new comfort zone gets bigger. And the more comfort zone we have, the more kind of our realm of familiarization is, the more likely we are to manifest these bigger things. Okay? So don't be afraid to like push. Don't be afraid to go a little harder than you think you should. It may feel really idealistic, and no, this abacus isn't going to be able to handle big numbers like that, okay? This abacus isn't going to be able to like compute everything. But this is also one of the reasons why I think this Knight of Swords is having such a hard time, because they're not operating in that dream space realm. They are operating in the immediate here and now. I want what I want when I want it. Immediate gratification. Tell me now. I want the answers now. And they're making such powerful demands of stuff. Demands of you, maybe Scorpio, or demands of people around you, or demands of your company, or whatever it is. And it's just like, dude, it doesn't work like that. You know, this may be someone that some of you end up firing or eliminating or getting rid of or walking away or needing space from. All right. And you may need to like really lay down the law here and be like, I cannot operate under this kind of pressure, because this is not pressure the way like a coach, like let's say you're an athlete and you have a coach, like your coach is going to put pressure on you to do it faster, to do it better. But that's for the sake of winning, right? This person is putting pressure on you so they don't have to feel afraid anymore. It's a completely different thing. So the pressure that they're putting on you is not good for you. It's not forcing you to grow, but it is forcing you to get more and more in tune with what is actually going on, what it is you're actually manifesting. And the fact that you can't stand to be around, because I'm actually getting angry, like even looking at this card, like it's so aggravating to me as a reader. It's like, you would do anything to get away from it, because, this is what I mean. Like, you're going to have to fire this person or walk away or take some space from this person, because you're not going to be able to really bloom and blossom if that is in the way. The project isn't going to flourish if that is yip-yapping in your ear every day. And I don't think it's an aspect of you. I actually do think it is somebody else in your life, an actual influence that you have that is just like not aligned with you right now. Okay? You are aligned. And maybe, well, I don't think they're aligned because they're coming from this devil. So they're coming from like a place of wanting to control the uncontrollable. They're not listening to themselves. They are literally making decisions based on their fear. It's like people who invest in a stock and then they watch it all day, every day. And they have this like go up, go up, go up every single day. And if it goes down or if the market corrects, they're going to freak out and they're going to sell at the bottom, right? They're going to do dumb things just simply because they're like too emotionally disconnected. And that Five of Swords is just, I think you're torn here. Like you're literally torn in half. Like that your approach and what you're doing, maybe that's why the High Priest, that's why you're keeping it so secretive right now, because you're like, this Knight of Swords cannot handle this. This is kind of like a sour winning. I don't know that moving away or firing this person or whatever the case is, I don't know that is going to have any sort of sweetness to it. I don't think that's really what you want to do here. I just think it's something that must be done. And there's no glory in that at all. There's no glory. There's no room for feeling good about it. It just is literally something that needs to be done, period. And that's it. I hope you don't feel any sense of guilt about this or any sense of regret. Hopefully not. It's not something to be regretful of. It's just simply you making a calculated decision about how to move forward. Because if this is preventing this dream from getting built, or if this is preventing you from dreaming bigger, you have to take space. You have to. It's too noisy. It is too loud, and it is too distracting, and it's not going to, it's just not going to fit. I don't know. It just doesn't fit. We have the Fool. Four of Swords. I'm sorry, Four of Cups, I mean. And an Ace of Cups. I look at that Fool and I feel the freedom. I feel like the sense of relief. Because if you were free to just do the Three of Coins thing and build what you need to build and move at the pace that you need to pace and you know, do what you need to do. If you were free to do that, this would be such a pleasurable experience, and you would feel alive and connected, and you would feel like you were soaring above the clouds, and you would be so happy. That's what we're aiming for. That's what Scorpio needs to really keep at the top of their mind, is like, is this what's going to bring me the happiness? Okay. With that Four of Cups, now it's interesting to have the Ace of Cups and the Four of Cups, but the Ace is coming after. So this is not the same. Okay. This is something different. This is actually what comes out of this. So the more picky you can be and the more discriminating about your options, right? Like if you can sit there and say no to things that are not in line, you're going to get a massive reward. And actually, I do feel it's a reward. That word very specifically is coming to my mind. It's a reward. You are being rewarded for having the courage to put this in its place, to do whatever needs to be done about this, to make the right choice for what you need right now. What I'm hearing, it's like once you turn down the volume on this, like you turn down the volume and you can hear yourself again. And with that High Priestess, it is essential that you can hear yourself. By the end of February, I think Scorpio is going to be in this beautiful state of flow. And there's going to be an entry of something. And this is like to be determined. I don't quite know what this is. We'll get some more clarifier cards on what this Ace of Cups is. But I feel like this is truly what your heart has been screaming for. It could be a new person. It could be a new opportunity. It could be a new place. It could just be like a moment of peace, whatever the case is. But this is something so special. And it really comes from turning this down, dreaming bigger, getting a little bit crazy with your dreams, right? Going out there, going beyond, and really setting yourself free. And I feel that this is you turning off the world. And that this person might be like that last thing that you need to eliminate so you can turn off the world. Now, you'll eventually reintegrate into the world, but I think as the sun comes through the 4th house, 5th house, and 6th house, maybe Taurus season, you'll start to re-enter. But right now, maybe you do need to pull away a little bit. You do need that alone time. You need time to process and figure things out and to work behind closed doors so that when you emerge, you have this giant, I always look at this as like building a cathedral, right? You have this big, beautiful building or this big, beautiful thing that you've put together. And it's like emerging with the finished product almost, like you're a butterfly at that point. It's not, I don't think Scorpio is really interested in letting everyone see how messy it gets while things are being built. It's just like, I'll show you when it's done kind of thing. But I'm excited for that Ace of Cups, truly, because it feels like something that you genuinely deserve. So let's pull out the clarifiers and see what else comes out. So these are the cards I'm going to cover in the comprehensive. All the info on how to access the comprehensive is down below. So feel free to check that out. We usually talk for another 25 to 30 minutes, sometimes more than that, but usually 25 to 30 minutes about these cards. So let's take a look. Hold on. Let's start with this deck first. We're going to start by clarifying what else the universe needs from you. We got the Queen of Cups. Now, Queen of Cups and High Priestess are kind of similar because there's a moon connection that comes through. So to me, you need to be in a state of flux, is what that's telling me. Okay, you need to be in a state of flux and to be more adaptable. Got the Seven of Cups. And the Tower. I actually like the Tower for you a lot. Okay. Now for the environment, what's going on in the environment that you need to be aware of? We have the Emperor. The Five of Wands. And the Six of Cups. Beautiful. Okay. Let's take a look here, Scorpio, at the Three of Coins. What else does Scorpio need to know about the Three of Coins? Knight of Wands. Six of Wands. I don't mind the Knight of Wands for this. I actually kind of like it. And Death. Oh my goodness. We're going to double down on that Knight of Swords. He is just going hard at it. He is not going to let you walk away easily. That is for sure. We're going to do one more. Hold on. Okay. So for the Devil, okay. Five of Wands. Four of Cups. And a King of Wands. Knight of Cups. An Empress. And Temperance. I like the Temperance for you, offering a lot of discipline. Ooh, beautiful. Four of Wands. Okay, so we have the Devil. And then the Hierophant I saw. It's always interesting when the Devil and the Hierophant come out on top of one another or in the same stack of cards. We have the Lovers, the Moon, another Ace of Cups, the Hermit. Ooh, another Tower. Love the Star. Page of Swords. Loving that for you as well. Two of Wands. Chariot. Strength. I'm actually hearing patience. Patience. Beautiful. And last but not least, an Ace of Wands. A lot of aces for you right now, which is amazing. So this is where we're going to pick up in the comprehensive. So if you want to join, you are more than welcome. Thank you all so much. I love you. Have a great month, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to your astrology reading for February 2023. So let's take a look here. Now, as I've been saying, very excited about this month because we officially have all the planets moving direct. Mars is starting to accelerate. Uranus is starting to accelerate. And things that had been problematic throughout 2022 are going to start to straighten themselves out as of like right now, okay? Now you have a lot of planets down here, third house, fourth house, fifth house, sixth house. A lot of these have to do, there's a lot of self-development that comes through here, all right? So Scorpio is really working through a lot of things internally right now, going deeply within themselves and asking themselves really hard questions about who they are as a person, what they truly want, what it is that has been preventing them from certain things. And, you know, they've been wanting to make big improvements. And they know that one of the reasons why those improvements haven't been able to take shape is probably because of something that they're doing. And so they are intensely trying to identify what it is that they can do to get over this hurdle so that they can experience the next burst of growth. All right. Now let's first, before we get into all this stuff, let's talk about Mars, which is your ruling planet in traditional astrology in the 8th house. Now, you are pretty well versed with the themes of 8th house stuff, okay? This has a lot to do with other people's money and resources. There's a lot of, using money as leverage. There are things that maybe you get buried under here, such as custody battles, taxes, credit card debts, mortgages, student loan debts, all these kinds of things that can feel really, really heavy and be challenging for you to get out from under. But over the past 6 months, Mars has really done a lot of reorganization and really changed a lot of the dynamics. And you may have felt yourself becoming more and more empowered by stuff. So instead of feeling victimized by it, you started kind of to change the script. I'm kind of seeing like the image of one of those like time hourglass things, like the time hourglass. It's like you're turning it over. And now you have all the sand up top. And so you're going to be more dominant. You're like turning the clock around on things. And this will be a continued slow progression over the course of the next couple of months. But Scorpio is now finding more strength than they thought that they had. If your partner, for those of you who are married, is going through anything as well, your partner may be finding a way to improve their station in life as well, which of course will benefit you too. We also have this Uranus North Node conjunction that has been really going strong since the very end of July, beginning of August, is now starting to separate. Now, this Uranus North Node conjunction afforded Scorpio the opportunity to what I'm getting, I don't know why I'm getting all these images, but now I'm getting like a compass. It was like at one point you were going in this direction, and all of a sudden over the last several months you decided it was essential for you to pivot. But the pivot period took a while, and it had a lot to do with your perspective, and it had a lot to do with what was coming into your consciousness. And for many of you, it had to do with how you were relating to other people, and your other person also had to pivot. So it wasn't just you. It's so much easier when it's just us because we can do it. But if you're dependent on someone else who might not necessarily have that same degree of self-awareness or that same degree of willingness, obviously Scorpio and Taurus are some of the more tricky zodiac signs because they are fixed. Fixed energies in general tend to move more slowly. So you were needing to pivot, another person was needing to pivot, and now that time is coming to a close, you get to start to slowly see the effects of those pivots. Those choices that you made, you get to start living out the consequences of those things. Chances are, if you went through that process with desire and intention to make things better, things will vastly improve. And later on in May, when Jupiter comes into Taurus, you're going to start to really see the real blessings and the real benefits of those things. A lot of faith required for Scorpio over the past several months. I think you're going to continue to need that faith, okay? Now, a few conjunctions to pay close attention to this month. Sun conjunct Saturn, Venus conjunct Neptune, Jupiter conjunct Chiron. Now, the Sun conjunct Saturn in this 4th house does indicate Scorpio. I feel like Scorpio is going to be pushing themselves really hard with this. And there may be something going on at home and in your private world that, I don't know, it sometimes, for some reason, the word fixing it, I don't know what that means exactly, but I feel like Scorpio is fixing it. Now, if you are married or if you have children, it's going to be a little bit harder to do that, because fixing it, again, may depend on your partner's willingness to participate as well. But the sun with Saturn tells me that Scorpio, for whatever reason, is putting a lot of responsibility on their own shoulders, that they don't want to be dependent on anyone else. They want to be the one that has the control. They want to be the one that handles it, okay? You will likely resolve whatever it is that's needing to be resolved. Now, many of you are going to need to resolve things by eliminating things. Saturn is big with the elimination stuff. In traditional astrology, he was the original planet of death. All right. So something is going to need to die out for Scorpio in order for the flourishing to really take place in the springtime. Well, in Northern Hemisphere, in Taurus season, okay? In order for that flourishing to really take place, you're going to have to let something die out. You're going to have to let something go. For many of you, it may be a pride thing, as simple as that. There may be a pride thing, okay? Others of you, there may need to be deeper emotional attachment. Now, Sun conjunct Saturn in Aquarius is a really detached situation. Not to mention we have Pisces as well, which is like even beyond detached. It's like woo and woo la la land up there, okay? So we're kind of like, when we make that transition between Capricorn and Aquarius, that is when we start to float up. And then we move into Pisces and it's even higher and higher. And then boom, we come back in Aries. So there is kind of like this floating away or detachment, which means it's going to take even greater effort to remain really connected. Now, some of you might need to take space for something. If you need to take space, that's okay. But please do not shut down communication. With Mercury coming into Aquarius, again, both Capricorn and Aquarius are traditionally Saturn ruled. So we want to keep that in mind, that the Saturnian nature is in control of Mercury right now. And so there might be a coldness or a distance or a harshness with communication. So again, you're going to need to make extra efforts to keep those bonds strong if you need to keep those bonds. But if you're needing space, you're going to need to communicate effectively that you need space so that no one gets hurt. Because it's not that you need space because you're running away. It's probably that you need space because you're processing something. A lot going on with processing with Jupiter conjunct Chiron in the 6th. Right? So I'm just processing. Let's come back to it. Let's circle back. That might be a good way to say it. Let's circle back in March. Okay? We also have Venus coming into this conjunction with Neptune. Now, in the 5th house, this can also be really, really romantic. There's kind of a contradiction here. There's like the coolness of Aquarius and the pulling away of Aquarius, but then there's also like this incredible idealism, fantasy world that's happening here as well. If you are allowing yourself to be driven by a fantasy, I think that's okay, just so long as you do not confuse that with reality. Fantasies are fantastic for manifestation. And in fact, actually, the more we allow ourselves to feel the possibility in the realm of this infinite world and all of this, the more likely it is to happen in the real world. But that takes time. And if there is a disconnect between what you're thinking and feeling, like let's take an example of someone who has this fantasy. This will be an unhealthy fantasy of a knight in shining armor coming to save the damsel in distress and save me from my financial woes, and they're going to sweep me off on my feet, and we're going to ride out into the sunset in happiness and bliss, and we're never going to fight, and we're going to live happily ever after until we're 95 years old, and then we're going to die on the exact same day because that's how perfect our love is going to be, okay? Obviously, that's like way, way up in the clouds. And then that Aquarius energy here is like, looking at its current relationship and being like, why aren't you sweeping me off my feet? Why aren't you the best person that I've ever met? Why are you so human? Why do you have these negative traits that I don't have in my fantasy? Right? Now, I'm not saying these are extremely pronounced. I feel that these are more subtle, and it's creating a little bit of a conflict. All right? Especially in the realm of dating and love, and with people that you're very close to and the people that are in your inner circle. There could also be something going on with your children as well, okay? But you're going to have to, consciously reconcile these two and realize okay, that's a fantasy, but I'm not saying don't shoot for the stars either. I don't want to see you completely shutting down the fantasy, because that's what Pisces is so great for, because this is the magic that we need so that when the new astrological year begins at the beginning, 0 degrees of Aries, when that new astrological year begins, then we can start manifesting those fantasies and we can start getting closer and closer and closer. So there's a lot of drive and reason behind this incredibly big picture. But it is also common that it doesn't match the current reality. So there is a disconnect. That's Pisces, right? It's disconnected. There's a disconnect going on. If you need something, Scorpio, you have to communicate it. I think sometimes with Pisces, there's just often an expectation. We expect that our partner is going to know this, or we expect that we're telepathically connected, and therefore we expect that they're just going to know, whatever the case is. Not the case. And I know, Scorpio, this is really I'm talking about this as though you are a Pisces. I know you're not, unless you have a lot of Pisces in your chart, but I know you're not. And that's why this is strange for you. This environment is weird. Okay, it is weird. Now, there's a lot of acceleration still, okay? You're still growing, you're still evolving, but again, there's a lot of internal reflection that is required. Somehow, you're going to have to reconcile these two aspects of yourself. Now, everything is temporary. It'll be over in March, right? March is a whole different story. It's just that this month, you're needing to say, where is it inside of me that is kind of fragmenting like this? Okay. Jupiter conjunct Chiron is going to have a lot of exposure to it as well. And in the 6th house, this is a tough house. There's a lot of karma that comes through here too. And I feel that insecurities and feeling insufficient, not good enough, you're not good enough, they're not good enough. A lot of the good enough energy is coming out here. And the question is then who am I? Aries, my identity. Who am I even? Now, 6th house, there is a lot of processing that goes on here. So I feel that more than anything, you're just going to be going through this inside, and someone else probably isn't going to have any clue what the heck is going on. You might be giving off some weird vibes. You might be a little bit more agitated than normal. You might be a little bit more edgy, or you may snap back at people more easily. Why can't it just be perfect? Why can't it just be like this? Why can't it work out this way? And why this and why that and why that? But now, again, you're not going to really be saying that to people. It's just all in, this is what I mean. This is really internal stuff that's going on. And you're holding yourself responsible for a lot. This is going to be a massive push of personal development for sure. And you're going to lead, when we get into into Taurus and Gemini season and we have more activity up here, you're going to look back and realize how much growth actually did happen throughout Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces season of this year. And you're going to realize how preparatory it was. And in a way, you may be giving off a more stoic vibe, and people may be looking at being like, hello, Scorpio, is anyone in there? Like, where even are you? Where are you in this world? Like, it's like you're here, but you're not really here. You're not. You're in battle with yourself a little bit. But again, I don't think this is super negative. I don't think this is like antagonistic or illness causing or anything like that. This is just you trying to reconcile the dream world and the mental world and the fantasy world with the real world, and trying to bridge that gap somehow, but being so keenly aware that fantasy is not reality, but also secretly wishing that reality would in fact resemble the fantasy just a little bit more. And especially if you are married or dating or in a business partnership or working with a client or something along those lines, if you're working with someone with whom you are contractually obligated to, you're just going to wish that they would be a little different, that they would behave differently, or that they would do different things. But you also want to wholly accept them and love them and to be compassionate and to be the loving, beautiful Scorpio that you know you are. Right? And so it's going to take time for you to work through this. And it is astrologically driven. I don't think there's anything that you did or that you can do. It's just something that you have to go through. But what's going to happen as an effect of this is you are going to be capable of loving and accepting people so much more deeply than you ever have before. And especially if you're married, it's just you getting to know them as a human being with all of their mistakes and all of their flaws and all of their learning processes and all of their traumas and all of their problems, and loving them in their entirety in the way that you would hope that they would love you in all of your entirety as well. So it is deeper for Scorpio, I think, than it is for most other zodiac signs, especially with this Mars in the 8th, because of course this is transformative to a large degree as well. This is the epitome of the struggle that it takes to become free. And that will happen end of March, beginning of April, as Mars comes into that 9th house. You will find that freedom, Scorpio. I guarantee it. All right. But this whole chrysalis thing, it's a full-on reconstruction that's going on. And it is an extremely private process. So, but you emerge a butterfly, so you have that to look forward to. It's just a matter of a few months. Okay? All right, Scorpio, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much. You guys know I love and adore you. Have an amazing month, and I'll talk to you soon.